So I'm sure all of you are logging in to find out what are the 3 things you should be doing in this situation of the COVID-19. So before I invite the speaker, I would like all of you to put your full attention to the webinar. If you have your Facebook, if you have your other WhatsApp windows that's on, I would appreciate it if you just minimize it and focus on this webinar. I will guarantee you, you will not regret it because the next speaker will have a lot of value to share with you in the next 1 hour. So before I invite him, let's put your attention to the screen to watch a short introduction.
The first thing I'm going to say is that prices are dropping down because of inflation.
You have to dream the impossible and do the unthinkable to enjoy the incredible.
Please put your hands together and welcome Mario Singh.
It's my life, it's now or never. I ain't gonna live forever. I just wanna live my life. It's my life. My heart is like an open highway. Like Franklin said, I did it my way. I just wanna live my life. It's my life.
Hi everyone, it's Mario. Thank you so much for joining me on this power-packed webinar that I've arranged for you. I normally have the Bon Jovi song at the end of my introduction, just to psych me up. Can everybody hear me perfectly? If you can, just type a yes in the chat box and I'm ready to fly. Thank you
Mario
so
will
much.
hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so as Wayne, who introduced me just now, this is a special webinar because I really just want to speak directly to you on what we can be doing during the period of COVID-19. And because I wanted to just add the maximum amount of value to everyone, we have on standby 3 translators, one for Bahasa Indonesia for my Indonesian friends, one in Vietnamese, and one in Thai. So I normally speak slightly faster to keep my own energy up and going. But for this particular session, I'm going to try to just slow my speed down a little bit because we are having, what is the word? It's called direct simultaneous translation. Okay, so for our friends who don't understand English, I really want you guys to get the maximum benefit out of this. Okay, so let me just share my screen and off we will go. Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes, perfect, Mario.
Okay, so off I go. So the topic that I have for you is the 3 things that you must do to create wealth during COVID-19. All right? Now, I'm gonna put up those 3 things immediately there on the screen, so that I want you to write it down, and over the course of the next 45 minutes or an hour, I'm going to bring you through every single point. Okay? So the first thing, and this is in order, the first thing that we have to do is what I term as protecting. Okay? We'll go into detail what I mean by the word protecting. The second word is called pivoting. And the third one, which is possibly the most exciting for everyone, because I'll be sharing exact strategies for you tonight, is called profiting. Can there really be a way that we are making money during this lockdown period of COVID-19? Okay, so those are the 3 things that I'm framing up for you immediately. Let's go straight into the first one, called protecting. Now, what exactly do I mean by protecting? Unless you are living under a rock, we are all in lockdown of COVID-19, okay? Regardless of whether we are in Singapore, Malaysia, China, different parts of the world. I understand there's close to 1,000 people logging online from, I think, over 10 countries. I see friends even from as far as India and Africa. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. But let me speak a little bit more about what I term as protecting, okay? So this is a snapshot of what I took this morning, okay, on the 20th of May. So I'm sure you have your own ways of looking at the different numbers. Some of you might want to look at it, some of you may not want to look. There's a few sites. I took it from this one called ncov2019.live, okay? So this is today's numbers. In terms of positive COVID-19 cases, we have close to about 5 million. In fact, it may have already surpassed 5 million, because I took this snapshot this morning. And those who have succumbed or passed on because of COVID-19 is about 325,000 people. Now, what is the purpose for me even showcasing and opening up the webinar with such bad news? Okay. The key thing I want to tell you is, does COVID-19 kill? The answer is yes, it does. But I want to share something which is more important, okay? The word indifference kills more, or rather kills the most. And let me explain what indifference means, all right? Indifference basically means you don't care. You don't think it's going to happen to you. You have a very flippant attitude about it, and you just don't care. In Singapore, where I'm based, even in the news, there are some people, it's public news, there are some people who feel that, oh, I think we are coming out of this circuit breaker mode and we can just start gathering and all that. No, it is not over, friends, okay? So please do not have this indifferent attitude. I'm not sure how many of you have been reading the newspapers or online media that the northeastern part of China has actually entered into a second lockdown, all right? An area of about 104 million people in what people could be termed as the second wave. So please take these measures and directives very seriously, regardless of the country you are in. I'm fairly certain that every single government has certain measures in place. Take it seriously, be responsible for yourself, all right? You have heard each time when you fly on an aeroplane, when they give you the safety briefing, it is always about putting the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put the oxygen mask on your kid. Because if you can't even protect yourself, how in the world are you supposed to protect other people? Okay? So it is important for us to take it seriously. This is part one of protection. You are protecting your physical body. And of course, the best way is to wear a mask each time you go out. All right? So this is the first key thing of protecting your physical body. Let's talk about something more interesting. Now, how do you protect your mind? This is part two of the protection phase, okay? Number one, protecting your body. And number two, protecting your mind. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. This is a quote by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a survivor of the Holocaust. This is in right after World War II. In that period, Viktor Frankl was a survivor in the concentration camps in Auschwitz in Austria. He went on to write a book. The book is entitled Man's Search for Meaning. It's a great book. If you have time, go read about it. This is what Victor says, okay? When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are then challenged to change ourselves. No one in this world can control COVID-19, okay? In fact, everything that is coming out of COVID-19 seems to be bad news. Even the words have negative connotations. Things like safe distancing, things like lockdown, things like quarantine. They may give you a little bit of what I term as negative connotations, right? And that is not even talking about the business climate itself, in which many businesses, many people are suffering with loss of income. When such a scenario happens, how are we challenged to change and to protect our minds for the positive? How can we meaningfully do that? I want to share with you a couple of sites that I think are very, very powerful. I want you to take, and I'm going to give you the link in a while, all right? Harvard University, which is obviously one of the best universities in the world, during this period, they have put out about 70 courses. If you look at the screen, you will see there 70 results for free. Once I give you the link in the next slide, you are able to go to the search button, type in the words free, and about 70 courses will come up. The top two that you see there, CS50, are computer programs that you can literally learn for free. Now, isn't this amazing? That even during a period of lockdown, all right, you have so much support, so much encouragement from even the top universities in the world who are coming alongside you and me to say these are the programs that you can take to upskill and improve yourself. So I think this is a fantastic site, friends, that you can look and try to take some of these courses during the lockdown period, so that when COVID-19 actually ends, you are armed with new knowledge, you are armed with new skills that can potentially take your income to the next level. So this is the, feel free to take a picture of the link or copy it down somewhere, all right? It's online-learning.harvard.edu, okay? Isn't that amazing? Now, that is just one site. I'm going to share with you another site. So please take note of the second site called edx.org. So the first link was about Harvard University, okay? The second link, I'm going to show you a picture of it. EDX is basically a collaboration with a few of the top universities in the world. So some are MIT, Harvard is there, Berkeley is there, Boston University is there. Now, they have there's a few thousand courses, and naturally you can go into EDX, type the word free as well, and you can start to see there are some courses that you are able to take. I was so blown away by this that me myself started taking a couple of the courses, okay? And you know what the bonus is? Listen to this. Let me tell you this bonus, all right? Even if you, and don't try to do too much. I know some of you who see this, you might go crazy and think, man, I'm going to start signing up for 20 different courses. Start small. Take one, finish the next one, sign up for the next one. Here's a bonus I'm going to share with you. Don't tell it to anybody. Even if you drop out halfway, you will be known as a Harvard dropout. Isn't that amazing? You now will be on the same position as Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. If you can't complete the course for whatever reason, you can add the words Harvard dropout to your credentials. Okay, so that's a little bit of a joke. I have to entertain myself. You know, there's no one here with me in my study. So that's a bit of a joke, but you guys understand what I'm saying, okay? From the two sites, Harvard Online and edx.org, knock yourself out, go and sign up for those programs for free. Gain new knowledge and upskill yourself, okay? So that is the first thing, the first lesson or the first key I want to talk about, called protecting. Protecting your physical body and protecting your mental mind, okay? Both are important, friends, especially during this time. Number two, let's explore this word pivoting, okay? What is the meaning of pivoting? Some of you understand it, some of you may not. Let me give you an illustration. So this is a picture of a skull, all right? And you will see that point there, the words pivot point, that joins your head and your neck. So obviously it makes your head able to go up and down, left and right, okay? The word pivoting simply means, now I'm speaking to the business owners and the entrepreneurs who are logging in online now. If you feel that your business has been affected by COVID-19, right? And many businesses are, I get it. Many of you are writing to me, in fact. I understand, right? It is something that we cannot control, but to sit there and do nothing doesn't help you at all. If you're running a business, this is the time for you to start thinking on how you are able to pivot your business. Now, the word pivoting doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do different things. It just means you've got to do things differently. If you have always been pointing one way, it's time to turn and pivot and do it another way. Let me give you some examples so that you can fully understand what I'm saying, okay? Here it talks about, this is just an article that I screenshot. It was either on Forbes or entrepreneur.com, I can't recall, when it talks about the impact of COVID-19 on businesses worldwide. I want to share with you two specific examples, okay, on how people have successfully pivoted and now are doing really well from the business that was once affected by COVID-19. So here's the first example. Now, if you look at the title, right? How they are able to pivot their way out of the COVID-19 crisis. This man, his name is Marco. You can see it at the bottom of your screen there. Marco Castellanelli. Now, he runs a business called Club Vino. Club Vino is basically a wine events company. Now, as you can well imagine, a wine events company simply means that you have to curate live events. People have got to come to you, all right, whether in a room, in a function, and you are now handling these events on a face-to-face basis. People can taste the wine, can ask you questions, and they can buy the wine. Naturally, this is one business. If you depend on a physical event, almost any business that depends on physical events have suffered tremendously because of COVID-19. How did Marco pivot Club Vino? You know what he did? And it sounds simple enough, right? He obviously took his business online, okay? So what he did, he had a website where he essentially told his people that I'm now going to move the entire business online. He started recording videos that he could send to people to explain to them about the wine, and he could then reach out to a wider audience. And his business actually did a lot better. Why? Simply because he could reach out to more people online by recording those videos and sending it to them. So this is one example of how someone simply pivoted. He didn't do different things. He just did his business differently. Let me share with you another interesting story. This man is called Dimitri. Now, Dimitri runs a pizza business in Chicago, in the US. His business is called Dim's Pizza. You can actually look at this online. D-I-M-S, Dim's Pizza. And this is an article I took from the BBC. Okay, it was so interesting. You know what he did? Think about this, right? So when the lockdown measures occurred in the US, and his business suffered because less and lesser people were coming to his restaurant, and he was calculating his overheads. And he said, there's no way the business can survive with such a bad drop of customers coming to the shop. Even though he could do it online, the business was not as good. How did Dimitri pivot his business? Do you know what he did? He basically thought of an idea and he said, look, there are so many frontline workers who are in need of face masks, right? And because he has an oven that is able to heat to such a high degree, he ordered acrylic sheets, okay? That he was able to put all these acrylic sheets into his oven, melt it down to a level, fold it, and he was able to make face masks as what you're seeing on the picture now. And then he distributed it and sold it to all the healthcare frontliners that needed such a mask. Can you imagine that someone was able to think of something like that? And I think this is where protecting your mind is so important, friends. That rather than just sit there and worry, when is my next customer going to come? This is a wonderful example of how he was able to pivot, moving away, not so much moving away from the pizza business, but pivoting a different use for the hot oven that he had within his Dim's Pizza outlet. Okay? His story went viral. I thought it was wonderful, and I wanted to just share that with you to encourage you. If you are running a business now, obviously all is not lost. I'm going to make a case and give you some data now. Whatever business that we are running, friends, whatever it may be, okay, on why you must go online. Now, whether or not you are running a business, or whether you are someone who depends on events for income, it is also important that you scale your presence online. That people need to know to take you seriously, that you must be in a position to grab their attention. And I think this is so important because many people still don't understand how to win the online game. So let me give you some data once and for all about why we must go online. This is an article that I took from the World Economic Forum website. Okay, World Economic Forum. Now, just pay attention to the words that I circled there in red. By 2020, 2 years' time, over 60% of global GDP will be digitized. That means more than half of the world's output will be online, will be in a digital format. You know, and what else is so mind-blowing? An estimated 70% of new value that is going to be created will be on digitally enabled platforms. I've been talking about this word platform for the last 3 to 4 years. You need to be putting yourself or your business on a platform. A platform basically means that you are in a marketplace, that you are facing buyers and sellers. Amazon is a platform. Grab is a platform. Facebook is a platform. Apple is a platform. Airbnb is a platform. Okay? You must put yourself in a platform or be part of a platform. Okay? Here is another article that I want to share with you in terms of numbers. listen very carefully. In 2018, so this is 2 years ago, this graph is to talk to you about how much is the global economy, how much are companies spending online. So the blue line represents how much they are spending online. The red line represents how much they are spending offline. And offline means things like TV or radio or ads or billboards, okay? 2018, the amount of money that's being spent online was 283 billion US dollars. Over the next 3 years, this is going to double, almost double, to 517 billion, okay? And the amount of money that the merchants will be spending offline will drop consistently from 21% in 2018 down to a single digit of 8% in 2023. Why is this important? Okay, it's a no-brainer. Listen, friends, it simply tells you that the entire world is going online, and even the companies are shifting their budget, and they have billion-dollar budgets, but they are shifting those billions from offline to online because they know where the clients are. For some of you who are already in the game, I want to share with you a personal thought, okay? Because I run a business as well. The cost of acquiring clients online, while it is cheaper than offline, the price is going up. Why? Because you're competing with these billion-dollar companies who has got an endless supply of cash. So the faster you get online, the better it will be for you. What just happened? Hold on, I think my light just went off. Did my light just go off?
Mario, I think so.
Hold on, I was wondering, how come give me 1 second, the wonders of technology. The light goes off and my entire face goes off. Hold on. That's odd, huh? My light just blew out. Oh, darling, my light just blew out, lah. Okay, can y'all see me? I apologize for that.
Yes, can still see. Yes, a bit dark though, but still can see.
Man, okay, I'm not sure how, but we just have to, the show has to go on, huh? So I apologize for that. I'm trying to on other lights. Let me just see. No, it doesn't work. Okay, I think I'll just leave the other light. Okay, never mind. Let's just continue. So where was I? The digital, the spending. This slide is to basically tell you and I that the advertisers are spending more online simply because the people are moving online. And especially if you are based in Southeast Asia, you must play the online game, all right? In the last 5 years, listen to this, Southeast Asia has added over 100 million people online in the last 5 years alone, okay? So you've got to be online. Now, here is the bonus and the plus point. You measure a traditional business versus a digital business. The cost to reach 2,000 people for a traditional advertising, whether is it through newspapers or magazine, the cost to reach 2,000 people is given there. All right. But if you were to go online, and whether you promote your ads on Facebook, Instagram, even WhatsApp, there's something called WhatsApp Business or LinkedIn, your cost is a lot lower, right? Your cost is a lot lower. So this is the biggest bonus. Now, to summarize, before I go to the last and final point of profiting, why you must go online, right? Number one, it's cheaper for you to acquire clients. Number two, you reach out to a wider audience. Start thinking globally already, friends. It doesn't pay you anymore to just think locally. All the clients are out there. The faster you get yourself onto an online platform, the better it will be. Give me 1 second. My light just blew. I can't believe it. Okay. Now, some of you listening to this webinar, you might be thinking, you know, Mario, it is times are bad now, right? Obviously, because it is a period of COVID-19. Some of you may have lost your jobs. Some of you may have been cut by the company. Some of you might even know people who have gotten COVID-19. Now, I'm sensitive to all these things, but friends, I do want to tell you, we cannot allow the environment to control us, okay? So this is why I say it's important for us to be able to protect our mind. And I want to encourage you with the next few slides. So please pay attention, okay? I need you to understand first and foremost, from a financial standpoint, the slide is blank, don't worry. From a financial standpoint, a great recession occurs once every 10 to 12 years. You can write this down. A great recession occurs once every 10 to 12 years. We can go as far back as 1975. This was the oil crisis. The world was expanding. Industrialization was taking off. But the amount of oil in US and Canada wasn't enough for the world to use because the world was growing, for that matter. But in 1975, even during that dark year when it was a recession, there was I'm sure many companies started, but there was a company called Microsoft that started, that every single one of you listening to me now has heard of and are probably using their products. Multi-billion-dollar company. Bill Gates started it in 1975. 12 years later, there was another big-time market crash. It was called Black Monday that happened in October 1987. Affected markets in Asia, affected markets in UK. In fact, if I recall, markets in UK plunged as much as 22%. And of course, it even affected markets in the US. So in 1987, even though it was a bad year, it was a bad recession year, all right? Huawei, another billion-dollar company, started. Fast forward in 1998, this was the Asian financial crisis, right? Our friends in Thailand, you may know this as the Tom Yam Goong. So it spread all across Southeast Asia. It affected countries even slightly further up to South Korea. But even during that time of the Asian financial crisis, can you imagine that Google started in 1998? This multi-billion-dollar behemoth started in 1998 during the Asian financial crisis. And here we are now in after 1998, right? Was 2008. In 2008, obviously, was the global financial crisis, all right, that started. And in 2008, a company that was started then was Airbnb. So there are multitude of examples for you and I to see that even though a crisis comes once every 10 to 12 years, right, you will still see a silver lining. The person who is able to protect and pivot will be able to profit. Now, what about this year in 2020? what about this year? Okay, what can you and I do that we are able to get out of this COVID-19, not just to survive, but to thrive? Let me encourage you with a true story, okay? Remember this slide that I showed you just now? That this nCoV2019.live, this is a site that was actually built by a teenager called R.V. Schiffman. True story, yeah? R.V. Schiffman built this site this year in 2020 simply because he couldn't find a site that could aggregate all the different data from the different countries into one place. When he built this site, it skyrocketed because so many people visited his website, all right, to find out about how they could get all that information. Millions of people went to his website, millions of them. And you know what? You can even check this online. This is a true story. There was a company that was willing to offer RV $8 million for them to put their advertising on his website. And RV said, no, he wants it to be, he doesn't want any advertising on there. He just wants to benefit people. So this is what I mean when I say, what can you and I do once you are able to tell yourself, yes, the environment may be bad, but as long as I protect my mind and pivot myself, how you are able to profit from the actual markets. So let me go finally to this. I think many of you are interested with how can I actually profit from the markets. I want you to pay attention because these are some of the secrets that I've been using all these years in the way I think about the markets, and I want to give it to you today. So a very key point into the way I think, friends, I will always listen to, I mean, there's so much news worldwide, right? I'm going to share with you some of the sites that I listen to. The first one is called the IMF. Now, the IMF stands for the International Monetary Fund. This is basically an organization of about 189 countries that represents possibly the entire world. If you go to their website, it says one of the key things that the IMF does is to ensure financial stability. Now, this is important. So whatever the IMF says, I will listen because it does represent a global view. Make sense? So look at this headline just about 1 month ago. The IMF says that the world will very likely experience the worst recession since the 1930s. Now, it didn't say the worst recession since the global financial crisis of 2008. It says the worst recession since the Great Depression. That's like 80 years ago. And this statement was given by the chief economist of the IMF. So although there's so much news going up, things like that will make me pay attention, okay? It will be the worst recession since the 1930s. Now, what do you do with such information? When things like that hits the market, what can you do? I'm going to share with you exactly how me and a close group, a close network plays this out, all right? So pay attention. Now, for some of you who have been following me for a while, you will know that I love the currency market. I love it. I've been trading it for the last 10 over years. I understand it, and I want to share some secrets with you. Each time a major recession occurs, three main currencies will plunge. The Aussie dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the Canadian dollar. They plunge because all of these three currencies depend, the economy depends on commodities. As an example, Australia is very rich in coal, iron ore, and gold, right? And they export this to the world. New Zealand is very strong in agriculture, very strong in sheep and goat and milk, right? So these are called the soft commodities. And Canada, one of their biggest exports is obviously oil. In a recession, think about this now. If these three countries are exporting all these goods, and in a recession when demand drops, naturally the demand for the Australian products, the New Zealand products, and oil will fall. That's also the reason why the price of oil plunged last month, right? So these three will fall drastically. Now, this is half of the puzzle. Listen to me. I have to tell you the other half. The other half is that there are two currencies that will go up. And it's important that I tell you two sides, because when you trade the currency market, you are trading it in currency pairs. So as an example, when you trade, you are trading Aussie versus US dollar. You are trading Kiwi dollar versus Japanese yen. You are trading Canadian dollar versus Japanese yen. It's always one currency over another. Why does the US dollar and the Japanese yen go up in a major recession? Why? They go up for different reasons. Pay attention, okay? The US dollar goes up in a major recession because even though they owe trillions of dollars, even though the US dollar is still considered the world's #1 reserve currency. That means all the central banks, most of them in fact, their reserve currency, they hold the most in US dollars. All right, and that was a very smart move by the US, because most of the things that you buy in the international market, they're all priced in US dollars. Whether is it commodities or oil or gold, it's all in US dollars, okay? So that's the reason why the US dollar goes up, is because it is the world's #1 reserve currency. Why does the Japanese yen go up? It goes up for a different reason. Listen, the Japanese yen, Japan, firstly, is an export-oriented country, okay? Many of the big brands that you see, Toshiba, Honda, Toyota, they all come from Japan. So when Japan exports all these goods out, it brings in a lot of income to their country. Japan is a net creditor nation. Net creditor means the debt that they don't own any debt to the world. They owe debt to their local citizens. They borrow money within their own country, but they don't borrow money outside. Very different from the US. So they go up for different reasons, okay? The Japanese yen goes up is because they are considered, both are considered safe, but for different reasons. The US goes up because it's a reserve currency. The Japanese yen goes up because they have the world's largest current account surplus. They don't owe money to the world, all right? So they are safe. And think, when it is a safe country, when fund managers pull out their money from countries like Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, money doesn't disappear. They need to look for a safe place to put it. So when they pull money out of Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, money moves into the US dollar and the Japanese yen. One of a famous statement that my mentor has taught me that I'll never forget, he said, Mario, to do well in the currency market, you just got to pair a weak currency with a strong currency. Where's my other hand? Huh? You got to pair, man, I apologize again for this slide. You got to pair a weak currency with a strong currency and you get a strong downtrend. Okay? If you pair Canada versus Japanese yen, in fact, let me just show you a chart now. When you pair Canada versus Japanese yen, you get a strong downtrend because Canada is dropping, the price of the Canadian yen is dropping, and the price of Japanese yen is going up. So taken together, if you trade the CAD yen, all right, you get a strong downtrend. So here's an example. On 20th of February, okay, all the way for the next just 2 weeks, if you had just taken one lot of selling, and please understand, in the Forex market, you can buy or sell at any time. You don't have to wait for prices to drop before you buy low. No. If you know something is going to drop, you can click sell immediately and make money on the way down. So here's an example of selling the CAD yen. In 2 weeks, it dropped 900 pips. A pip is basically a unit of the currency market. In 2 weeks, it dropped 900 pips. The Forex market pays you and me $10 US per pip, friends. In that 2 weeks, if you had sold one lot, you would have netted $9,000 US in 2 weeks in one trade. Now, isn't that amazing? Simply because you have the knowledge of knowing what to do. Let me show you another example. Because you know, similarly, that the New Zealand dollar will drop, you know that the US dollar will rise up. Here's another example. At the start of the year, in early January, consistently, the New Zealand dollar fell all the way down. You could have taken profit after 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, but over the course of about 2 months, it has dropped 1,200 pips. If you had just sold one lot, just one lot out of that, you would have netted for yourself $12,000 US in one single trade from your home. Now, this is powerful stuff. Let's look at the third chart. Here's a chart of Aussie versus Japanese yen. If you recall again, I told you the Aussie will drop, the Japanese yen goes up. Pair them together in a currency pair called the Aussie yen. Okay, over from January, it's consistently dropped all the way down for the last 2 months. If you had just taken one lot of sell, you sold one lot just by clicking sell, and it drops 1,500 pips, you would have made 15,000 US. Even if it had just dropped 200 pips, forget 1,500. If it had dropped 200 pips, you would have made 2,000 US dollars. Okay? This is the power of the currency market, that even as prices are falling, you are making a profit as prices drop. Now, not many markets can say that. Now, let me show you a second part into how I think. I hope you are getting some value out of this, okay? I will always see what happens to the US economy. So here's an example of, I took this from Bloomberg, okay? A snapshot last month. Look at the headline on Bloomberg. What does it say? US economic data shows a deep hit in March and a total collapse in April. Now, if you focus to the bottom in red, okay, focus there, it says US March retail sales minus 8%. Minus 8%. Why is this important? Friends, listen. The US is the world's largest economy. The world's largest, all right? China has not beaten them yet. So as the world's largest economy, a lot of their economy is based on consumer spending. So when people are not spending, and minus 8%, I went to check, was the lowest figure in 20 years. 20 years, huh? So if the US economy is not spending, the whole US economy will suffer. The next question you must ask, Mario, when the US economy suffers, how do I make money off it? Well, I'm glad you asked, and I'm going to share with you the answer. So if you pay attention to the top 3 indexes of the US, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ, during that period, you will notice that the indexes are all falling. Every single one of them, okay? Once that news was released, the S&P 500, it dropped 1,200 points. That is equivalent to 1,200 US dollars. in your pocket if you had just taken sell. The NASDAQ during that same period, all right, it dropped 3,000 points. That would have netted you 3,000 US dollars, okay, if you had taken sell on that one trade. The Dow Jones dropped the most. It dropped 11,000 points. If you had just taken again one lot in the comfort of your home, it would have dropped 11,000 points, netting you a total of 11,000 US dollars. 11,000. Friends, this is the opportunity that is right in front of you and I. Now, some of you may say, Mario, but you are showing charts that are past already, or how can I profit going forward? Well, I'm glad you asked. And this is another chart that I took fresh that I want to share with you. Okay, listen. The economy of the US is not doing well. This chart that I'm taking here is about 4 or 5 days old only. It talks about the people who are unemployed. Okay, that means they are filing for unemployment benefits. Now, if you look at the month of April, in fact, the headline of this article is basically, for the last 2 months, the total number of people in the US who have filed for jobless claims, that means unemployment benefits, is as high as 36 million people. Now think further. When people are not working, what happens to businesses? What happens to businesses? Businesses itself will collapse. Manufacturing will collapse. So many industries will collapse. The only reason why you are from the US, you are hearing, oh, Mario, during this point, the stock market is still going up. It is going up only because the government is pumping trillions of dollars into it. You understand the real dynamics. I want you to look for opportunities to sell instead of looking for opportunities to buy, because the dominant trend, the real picture, you're not seeing the real picture. This is the real picture. The US economy is on life support, all right, protected by the government. They've pumped over 2 trillion US dollars inside. So looking at the unemployment claims, this is what not many people are talking about. But I need you to understand, in the last 2 months, 36 million people. That is a mind-boggling number, okay? That represents a huge percentage of the working adults in the US. So let's wrap up. The information that I'm giving you, I do want you to take action on it, because if you don't take action, your life doesn't change. So let me wrap up with you and tell you your exact next steps, okay? In terms of a summary, today's session was about the 3 things that you must do to create wealth. Number 1, protecting yourself, both your physical body and your mental body. Both are important. I've given you some sites that you can go on Harvard or go on EDX to upskill yourself, okay? You need to start to pivot yourself, either yourself or your business, to spend more time online. It is important, and I'm here to tell you that you're not just, you're fighting with the big businesses. You need to know that they are all moving online as well. So whatever efforts that you are moving online, you've got to double it or triple it, because that is where the market is, all right? And the bonus, friends, is that acquiring clients online is not as expensive, and yet you can reach out to a wider audience. And the last part, I've given you actual strategies on how you can profit from the markets right now. In terms of a summary, the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the Canadian yen will fall, and the US dollar and the Japanese yen will go up. So look for opportunities to sell Canadian yen, Aussie yen, Kiwi yen, and look for opportunities to sell the 3 indexes of the US, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones. Now, today's session is more informational. I wanted to showcase and tell you exactly what you must do. if you found today's session beneficial from the sharing, friends, I decided to do another session because after I planned this session for you, it came to my mind that, okay, what I've told you is basically what you must do. And this session that I'm going to do just for you, okay, I've decided to just add one more, just for you, free, on the exact steps, the 2 things that you can immediately execute. So I've decided to call this 2 immediate income streams that you can set on automatic. Listen to me carefully. 2 immediate income streams from whatever I've shared with you today, how you can put it to work immediately while staying at home. My team will put the link in the chat box. Please go and click it. All right, sign up, lock in your spot. I think when we reach about 1,000, I would also close it off. I may open it up to the public, but even if I do, I'll do it either tomorrow or the day after. So I want you guys, because this is more part 2, that means you've already known, okay, these are the actual steps. So focus on these steps, and I'm going to guide you step by step how you will be doing it immediately in next week's webinar. Okay? I promise to fix my light by then. So I hope you enjoyed this webinar, the 3 things you must do. And next week, same time, same place, I will share with you how to kick off your 2 immediate income streams. And I promise you it will be simple and yet powerful. I hope you enjoyed this session, friends. This is Mario signing off. Take care, stay safe. Click on the link, lock in your spot for next week, and I'll see you 1 week from today. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much. God bless you. Take care, stay safe. Wayne, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mario. So in case you are thinking of exiting the webinar, just hold on for a while more so I can give you more information how you can log in your spot for next week's webinar. Okay, so I'll need Mario to stop sharing so that I can share my screen.
Oh, right.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mario. Once again, a big round of applause to Mario. I'm sure all of you has gotten great value.
How do I do that?
From the 3 things. Oh, you can just click stop share.
Where is my stop share? Give me 1 second. Okay, got it.
Yep. So Mario has framed up the 3 things that you should be doing during these times of COVID-19 in terms of protecting, pivoting, and profiting. Of course, Mario has mentioned to you about the next webinars that he will share with you 2 immediate income streams while staying at home. Mario said that it may be open to public, okay, but to really secure your spot in the next webinar, to ensure you get a spot in to next week's webinar, please scan the QR code on the left-hand side to open your account, because we are limiting the initial first registrants to the account holders of Fulton Markets, our clients. Reason for doing that, because these 2 immediate income streams in the next webinar, Mario will be sharing with you exactly how you can leverage on it. And through once you open account, you can actually, on the spot during the webinar, have a look at these 2 income streams that Mario is going to show you. And the good news for all of you, opening the account is free. Okay, it doesn't cost you a single cent. But this is only for serious people who really want to explore how to leverage on these 2 income streams. Would appreciate if you do not have an account with Fulton Markets, just scan the QR code on the left side to open your account first. Very simple. Or you can click on the link that's in the chat box. And for those of you who already have an account with Fulton Markets, all you need to do is to scan the QR code on the right side. to register for the webinar for next week. So that's it. I'm going to leave this screen on and the chat box and the link as well. So I look forward to seeing all of you in our next week webinar where Mario will share with you live how you can immediately have 2 income streams from our Fullerton Markets platform. So this is Wayne signing off. Look forward to seeing you next week.